a really interesting question that, of course, AI and large language models, the renewed and increasing focus on data science is really shaping everything that goes on in business, and particularly the finance industry as well, where we often tend to adopt the newest and latest and greatest techniques to get to that edge, because it's such a competitive industry.
Markets move on data, headlines, algorithms, and breaking news. But underneath all of that, they still run on human emotion: fear, confidence, greed, optimism, and panic. And very few people understand that intersection better than today's guest. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of School to Startup, brought to you by Tracxn, a private market intelligence platform that's been supporting the global university ecosystem for over 12 years. To our university partnerships, we work with institutions driving innovation and entrepreneurship, and this series highlights the academic leaders making that happen. I'm Harish, your host today. Today, we are talking about startups, founder psychology, AI, investing, and how universities are shaping the next generation of innovators with Professor Joakim from University of Sydney. Professor, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Harish. It's going to be great to discuss these urgent matters with you.
Great. So you've worked across trading, funds management, academia, and financial research. So what originally pulled you into the world of finance?
Well, I was studying at business school over in Helsinki, Finland, actually, when I was just out of high school, and after the army service, and I really enjoyed what I started learning about finance and financial markets and stockbroking and investing. So I really envisioned myself already to work in the financial industry as a young university student. So I started specializing on finance quite early on during my business school years, and ended up actually my first job was actually in a stockbroking firm as a derivatives broker. So I made it to where I wanted at that time.
Interesting. So after years of studying investor behavior and markets, what's more unpredictable, financial markets or the human beings?
Yeah, that's a good question, probably a hard question. Firstly, financial markets are made up of human beings, so I would say that they are both unpredictable. But in finance, of course, we have developed systems and methods to analyze all the data that we have about companies. So financial experts with the right tools can make educated guesses and get it more often right than wrong.
Amazing. So this series is called School to Startup, and universities today are becoming much more than classrooms. So how do you see the University of Sydney, encouraging entrepreneurship and innovation among the students?
Yeah, we are obviously also very excited about the growing startup ecosystems. Now also we are in Sydney. Here also now we're starting to see mini Silicon Valley developing in certain industries, and many of our students are very interested in entrepreneurship. So from my background in financial markets, I've somewhat pivoted in my teaching education interest towards startups. So now myself developing and running courses in entrepreneurial finance, but we do also have a strategy department in our business school that's very strong in entrepreneurship, and they teach entrepreneurship as well. So In other ways, we support students in entrepreneurship by having an incubator. It's called Incubate, that gives the opportunity for student businesses to get support to get off the ground with their ideas. And we also have a program called the Genesis program, which gives kind of holds a competition, or pitching competition, and the winners get a significant amount of money to help them with their startups. And this is could be described as an accelerator to really get some speed up these ventures. So yes, we are very much about entrepreneurship here, but obviously we also teach traditional financial topics, starting with corporate finance and the how a firm works and all of that, through merger acquisitions, business valuation, and then also startups.
Interesting. A lot of founders these days are strong builders, but most of them struggle with financial discipline. So, what's one common financial mistake you see early stage startups, make repeatedly?
I mean, quite often successful entrepreneurs might have had a few failures before they learn how to be disciplined with their finances. So often it could be that entrepreneurs often don't have the necessarily skills and experience to assess risk. So they simply go ahead and take too much risk too early, and doesn't have the planning in place. So in our course, we try to prepare students by teaching them how to evaluate their startup, the potential success for their startup, by putting together a rigorous business plan based on structures, not too dissimilar from what famous entrepreneurship models that are used in Silicon Valley, for example. So, and we hope that our classes could prepare students to be aware of the tools and techniques that are out there by doing an assignment. So often in our class, we have students come up with a business idea, pitch it, and present the business plan for funding in a laboratory of the classroom. And that way they can learn how to avoid some of the mistakes in the future. But having said that, if you look at the biggest industry sort of section in the startup world, has been computer system as a service, SaaS companies, and now they are in dire straits because of the technological AI revolution that's taking away that business. So things are changing very fast, and risks that we thought were not risks emerge. So you need to be able to pivot very quickly in this industry.
Interesting. And there is a thin line between founder confidence and overconfidence, right? So how should founders balance conviction with data and reality?
So how do you mean how founders could?
How can they balance the conviction with both data and reality?
Yeah, I mean it is true. A founder is going to have to pitch a very optimistic scenario of a company. The utopia scenario when everything goes right. So this is kind of expected by investors or people vetting these companies. So in a sense, an entrepreneur will be in that optimistic utopia mindset when you pitch, and that of course can lead to that you are not assessing all the realities of how possible this is to work out. But I mean, that's how the industry works. This is high risk capital that is willing to be, investors in startups are willing to take that risk to ensure that you have a few of those home runs in your portfolio. So personally, I don't think that entrepreneur needs to be assessing those risks in that stage when you're trying to get off the ground. That is the job of the venture capitalists, assessing the firm.
Interesting. And you've also been working around AI, uh, large language models, and data science. So, how do you see AI changing finance and entrepreneurship over the next few years?
Yeah, this is a really interesting question. That of course AI and large language models, the renewed and increasing focus on data science is really shaping everything that goes on in business, and particularly the finance industry as well, where we often tend to adopt the newest and latest and greatest techniques to get to that edge, because it's such a competitive industry. And again, algorithms and automated trading and decision making is nothing new in finance. This is something that's been going on and developing for the last 20 years or so on, and already made the markets hugely more effective. Now you can take a trade from Sydney and it hits the limit order book in Chicago instantly. While 10, 50 years ago, there was a delay of several minutes. So, the markets have become very efficient and very competitive already. Now we have these algorithms that can make it even more automated. So you use agentic AI and so on for your trading and trade execution. I do see that this is further increasing competition, making perhaps it necessary to make large investments in technology to be on the edge. On the other hand, perhaps the finance industry is more resilient to this development than, say, the software development industry, because we already are at the very efficient sort of status, edge, frontier in finance. And I hear that some of the main players in the industry, the large investment banks, have realized that perhaps you do need a human component in making investment decisions, in making decisions about trades, because the markets are a little bit too irrational, unpredictable, also for an AI. And we are not quite there yet that those AI-based models can beat humans, I don't think. Having said that, we just finished a research paper that we're going to send into one of the best journals soon. And we have found that if you're using an AI-based model that's been trained to act as an analyst, reading earnings call transcripts, you can obtain a much better average sort of performance over the year than if you're using just human analysts. So by having access to all information instantly, these AI trained models can actually perform really well, adding some 1% alpha to the return on a long short portfolio in per month. So you get like an improvement of about 12% on the year basis by analyzing earnings call transcripts this way. So I think that's we hope in this paper we would make some impact and show the power of AI-based models in finance as well.
Interesting. And I'm wondering, if you were a student graduating today, what space or opportunity would genuinely excite you to build it?
Yes, I mean, we just had a discussion with one of our great mentors who is advising on exactly these things in class, because obviously we need to make sure that our students learn something that can simply find them a job and help them in the first position. We always try to scramble our heads, and about a year or two ago we thought that maybe going into an internship as a financial analyst would be the best way, because that is, of course, where you learn the skills that are your own. You understand companies' businesses, and you can sell that to your next employee and so on. But there are very few such positions. Most research teams today are quite small, and I guess partly exaggerated by the fact everything can be automated. So they generally, one firm would hire maybe one more person to these teams a year. So those jobs are very hard to find. One other area is sales and trading. We speak about financial jobs. That seems to be growing. So I think that is a sector where human skills obviously are still needed. You need build your network of connections or customers, just like I did back in the day when I was working as a broker. So I think this is a space where at the moment it changes like everything else very quickly. Right now, I think the sales and trading type of role where you actually build customer relations is where you can contribute the most and maybe most opportunities. I have a set of skills I would like to mention. I think students should take home, but maybe you can do that last.
Yes, that's interesting. So, just to let you know, the University of Sydney has been using Tracxn across different initiatives and use cases. How has access to startup and market intelligence platforms like Tracxn helped students or faculty, better understand the startup ecosystem?
Yeah, absolutely. It's very useful for these type of platforms for students, because you can, just like in traditional evaluation courses, we have access to something like Bloomberg or Refinitiv. For students to have access to real world data on startups is invaluable, and you can look at different examples of say AI-based companies that need to pivot into the market. What are they? How are they set up? What is the idea? What is the probability of success? So yeah, those platforms are be very good for teaching and research-based learning. So we usually do that assignment I mentioned, where students are building a business idea into a potential company, and they have to present a business plan with the financial estimations and everything. And that really makes things real. And in that process, having access to a platform where you can see comparable companies and actually benchmark the potential of your company's success is valuable. And so this is how we tend to use these for making things a bit more real in the classroom. So having access to that kind of data is absolutely important.
Very interesting. Nice to see Tracxn is being used for so many use cases. If you have any queries regarding access and everything, you can always reach out to us. We will help you out and your students to get the access so that they can track and scan the deep sectors that are available across 3,000 plus practice areas.
Yeah, I definitely will try out Tracxn as well in the classroom, as we have also tried out some other suppliers with that type of data, and this is great. We want to have a range of opportunities to offer to our students, and perhaps now with as a with a side gig, you can cut this. When we did the assignments last year in the class, I was looking at the beautiful presentation, like so detailed, so well presented, fantastic work. The quality of the work the students do in these assignments is exceptional. But then I did realize, but they do have access to some really good tools now too. So that really shows the report to the work is the quality is improving. So yeah, that's one.
And also at Tracxn, what we are doing is we are collaborating with university, especially for assignment part. We build assignments for the students. We build the coursework. We have a faculty playbook which can be used by various different faculty. I'll ask my team to share that information with you. But we do have those services and opportunities for students to use such market research tools, and enhance their skills when it comes to research analysis, or be it for academic research, they can use these tools as well.
Mm. So are there some templates, for example, if someone wants to make a 3-year business plan with month by month
Yes.
cash flows, there's something there to start with?
Yes. We do have business model. We track business models so they can, students and researchers can use Tracxn platform to understand the business model, to understand what type of funding they are getting, and also who are the key players in that business model who are becoming unicorns, right? So probably we can come up with a session for students and faculty on this.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. It's good maybe to have a demo or something like that. Yes.
Definitely, we'll arrange
You
for
could
that.
bring along. I have one other colleague also, Professor Peter
Sure.
Pham, who's teaching entrepreneurship.
Yes.
So we could
Yes.
come together and have a look.
Definitely, we'll arrange for that.
Yeah.
All right. Before we wrap, one piece of advice for students watching to this episode today.
Yeah. So for those who are starting out their academic journey or budding entrepreneurs, I have like 4 pieces of advice that I kind of come to in my spare time when I'm sitting there thinking. And I think that one most important skill overall that you need, I think, in finance, but in business in general, is to be able to communicate well. So, even if you're born in a native English speaking background or not, work on your writing and communication skills. So that is the main thing. The most important skill for success, I would think, is to be able to articulate your ideas in written English. Of course, also in words, but if you can write well what you intend to do, what you're offering in your company and so on, that will help you immensely. How can you get there? Well, I mean, one way is, in practice, would be to read a lot, write a lot, and read even more than you write. Also, I would say you can use writing tools such as Grammarly, for example, that can clean up your text to be your own and be correct, and so on. Also, other things I think B would be to learn to master the amazing tools we have at our fingertips today. For example, just as an example, you can use Visual Studio Code, where you can build Python-based models. You can build anything there, and you can use as a help one of the many alternative chats, GPT, Claude, or some other agent to build that code. So it's actually, if you have, we don't have to be very well trained in coding to do this. You can start small, and very quickly you reach a high level of productivity through these tools. Coming back to those basic skills, I think that developing your EQ, emotional intelligence, is even more important now when the quantitative skills are automated to some extent. So if you can understand what drives your coworkers, your managers and staff, this is crucial. So that will be the 3rd point. The 4th point, I'm thinking that continuously participate in further studies. So keep training. Once you have, like me, I did my PhD already, I think more than 25 years ago. So obviously you think, can you study anymore? Well, I did a course in AI and computer science, data analysis this year, and it helped me immensely. So I'm probably going to put that diploma on my wall next to the others. So you need to keep on, particularly now when things are moving fast, learning new things. So that would have been my 20 bobs worth, as you say in Australia. So
Very well said. Finally, Professor Joakim, what gives you the most optimism about the future of innovation and entrepreneurship?
yes, well, if you're a bit skeptic at times, we need to stay optimistic. And one of the most admired fund managers in in Australia says that too. Stay optimistic, but I think I'm always optimistic about the future. This is a great time to be alive because, as I mentioned, all those tools that have made it so much easier to build something very quick. This is a great opportunity to go out there and build. So go start a company, go start a business idea, go and create something great.
Amazing. Thank you very much. That was Professor Joakim from University of Sydney sharing powerful insights on founder psychology, financial decision making, AI, and also how universities are shaping future of entrepreneurship. Professor Joakim, thank you so much for being part of this Tracxn School to Startup episode.
Thank you. That was great. Bye.
Amazing. And thank you everyone for watching. If you have enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and click the bell icon to stay tuned for more conversations with leaders driving innovation and entrepreneurship around the academic world. See you in the next episode.